Oh, son, what's good, my boy? When we think of names and figures such as a Steve Jobs, an Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, list goes on and on with a lot of these prevalent, innovative people. When we think about these names, and I ask you the simple question, what do they make you think about? It's usually along the lines of, oh, Steve Jobs started Apple at 21 years old and he created this thing, this device that we all have in our hands, in our pockets. Da Vinci was like this amazing person with all these different interests and facets in his life, and Einstein created all these formulas. They'll list their achievements, but they'll not list the commonality between all of these people with great innovation. And that is that they allow their curiosity to guide them. What do I mean by that? Well, first I have to explain how most people in today's society are guided. I hate to be the fucking person who's like, oh, this fucking generation, our society and all this shit, because I actually love the society and generation I was born in. I love the ease and access of information. I love all of that shit that helps make my life easier and more efficient. But people are plagued by an obsession of efficiency. They cannot do a simple medial task without going on their phone and searching and trying to figure out what's the best way to do this. So they save their efficiency, so they learn it the fastest. But people in the past were limited by books, scouring for hours to see what was on the page if they wanted that advantage. Most of them led themselves by their curiosity and their creativity to tinker, to figure this shit out on their own. Leonardo da Vinci, people describe him of having an insatiable curiosity. He would think of things like, what does the tongue of a hummingbird look like, and all this shit. And he created these inventions and did this mathematics and did these paintings and all this shit. They were not afraid to be themselves. If you read any of the Walter Isaacson books on any of the people, Einstein, Ben Franklin, Steve Jobs, Da Vinci, the one commonality is that they were all very unique individuals. There was hardly they might have done a couple similar things, but most of these people were just these intense personalities that were completely different. You have Da Vinci, who was this flamboyant personality in like late 1400s, early 1500s, who would just flaunt himself and was accepted by society and did all these paintings in this like a childlike sense of curiosity. Steve Jobs was this genius who was incredibly flawed as well, with the things with his daughter and the way he treated staff, but also the way he came up with these ideas. Then you have someone like Einstein, who was often misunderstood and thought of as just some fucking nerd, but he had all these different they all were unique. You wouldn't see a single one of them and you're like, what are they doing today? Oh, they sat and they played video games all day, and then they watched porn, and then they just went to bed or smoked weed before they went to bed. They might have went to college. They might have did it. No. Steve Jobs, if you read his book, went to fucking India at like 20 years old. Went on like a pilgrimage to India. He was inspired by this sense of like a fulfillment, sense of a meaning, of a purpose. Like most young people are. We're very impressionable, so we want to figure out the meaning to all this shit. But all these people were led by their own curiosity. My grandpa, who I live with, he's 75 years old. And he's not a genius. He doesn't have like an IQ of 200 or something like that. But he can take apart any motor and put it back together. He can build beautiful red oak cabinets and just pure craftsmanship with carpentry out of wood and all these different little minor trades. And he didn't go to a school. He didn't do this for a living. As a kid, at 9 to like 15 years old, he would just pull apart lawnmower engines and tinker with them and figure out how they worked. He didn't go up and look up a fucking YouTube video. He doesn't read books at all, so he didn't open a book and figure out. He just played with it to see what it was made out of. How does it work? Tries to put it back together. Maybe he doesn't. But he learned that way. He learned through experimentation, through curiosity. Nowadays, We want to play piano. We don't sit down and fuck around on the piano. We look up a guide on how to play our favorite song and are led by these tutorials. You want to fucking... That's just how it is with so many different things. Nobody will pick up something new today and play with it. And just play with it and figure it out like that. They have to have some sort of an advantage. They believe they have to have some sort of advantage. And I'm not completely against that. I understand that it's a very useful thing that we should use. It's at our disposal, so why not use it? It speeds up the process of time which we're limited by. But at that same time, you need to practice that creativity muscle. We need to explore, go out places. One thing that I always found very interesting, and I've just made this correlation, is the amount of people who have no social skills whatsoever or don't know anything about the world. And you'd say, what do you mean, Cameron? What are you talking about? What are you on to? Why is this self-improvement YouTube space so big? I tried to take advantage of it for a while because I was like, holy shit, there's so many fucking incels. I want to learn about how to talk to people. They'll watch 1,000 videos instead of just going outside. It's that simple. All of these skills, all of these different creative things that people want to do, it's as simple as experiment. What do you think Les Paul, the guy that made Les Paul guitars fucking however long ago that was, did? Did he fucking watch YouTube on how to do this and make these guitars and all this shit? No. The motherfucker just... The first person to make a stringed instrument. He didn't fucking watch a YouTube video on how to do it, how to play it. He fucking played with it. He did. He played with it with no sense of knowledge other than a sense of curiosity to figure out what was in his hands. And I do this same shit as well. Whenever I picked up oil painting, I spent weeks and weeks and weeks figuring out all these things and all this shit and trying to figure out how to mix the colors. And part of me thinks, man, that is actually good because I saved a lot of time. But it killed the sense of a sovereign person. It killed that uniqueness, that identity, that style. Whenever you see something that's Tarantino-like, whenever you see something that reminds you of this artist or this, it's because that artist you're saying it reminds you of has created a style that is so unique to them that everything that mimics it is tied to them. There's nothing like it. It's like their signature or their fingerprint. It is tied to them. And there is a lack of that now. So many people try to copy other people's art styles. So many people try to copy each other's flow and rap. So many people try to copy. So many people try to start with some sort of advantage. When it truly comes down, everything can be simplified to one thing. Simplification is the sign of intelligence. And the way you can simplify all of it down is, you don't know how to talk to people, you're watching a bunch of self-improvement videos, stop watching videos and go outside and try to talk to people and fuck up until you get good at it. You want to lose weight. You keep trying all these diets. Cut your fucking calories out and you'll lose weight. Very goddamn simple. Eat less. All this shit is, all these self-improvement things are so simple. You want to make a bunch of money. Try a bunch of shit and fail a bunch of times until some sort of shit sticks to the wall. Throw a bunch of shit until it fucking sticks to the wall. This shit is super simple. Every single facet. You want to gain any skill, pick it up and play with it until you start figuring things out. Whenever I first got my guitar, before I watched videos on it, I sat down and I was fucking around with it and I realized, hey, this note and this note kind of go together when I go bump, 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 bump. It kind of goes together. Maybe I can get a third one in there. That's how you do it. That's how you explore and learn. You gotta fucking do it. You can't just sit there and watch YouTube videos and all this bullshit. Be a unique individual. All these people talk about wanting to be a millionaire at 25, wanting to be an innovator, wanting to change the world. The only way you're going to change the fucking world is if you take what you were given. Stop trying to be all these other people. Stop trying to be Steve Jobs. Stop trying to be all this bullshit. Learn about them and learn the true realization that you will have through learning about them, which is that they were a unique fucking person, not trying to be anybody else, but they tried to be themselves. So, I've kind of gone on a tangent on two separate topics, but they tied together. Be yourself and be unique and do things you like doing. And don't rely on some other external bullshit to teach you how to do it or do all this shit. You can learn, of course, learn guitar so you can experiment and all that. But I promise you, Jimi Hendrix took his guitar and played around in the military and just fucked around with it. Most of these people just fuck around with their tools, their guitar, their paintbrush, their mind, with their ideas. They fuck around with things and throw things at the wall. Steve Jobs wanted to call a computer a bicycle, and people called him stupid. And obviously, he didn't name a computer the bicycle, so it didn't work. These people are flawed. We're all flawed, and we have to embrace those flaws. So, stop trying to be other people and stop being influenced by all this other shit and tinker and experiment with shit on your own. Have a great day, old son. Chase paper and enjoy nature.